Here's another one of those questions for atheists videos. I haven't done one of these in a while.
This video, we're going to talk about 5 tough questions to ask atheists. So if you have the atheist friend, a colleague, or an atheist yourself, these are great questions to really have some critical thinking about your worldview. First question, where did the universe come from?
Unless it originated from a multiverse, the universe didn't come from anywhere, because without any space-time continuum, there's no where, that is, no place, whence it can come. The questions, where did Yahweh get the universe from, or what did he make the universe out of, make about as much sense. If there was a time when the universe did not exist, followed by a time when it does exist, then it would make sense to ask what caused that change. But since there was, as best anyone can tell, never a time in the 13.7 billion years that there has been time that the universe did not exist, no such change took place. If no such change took place, then there's no change to explain. There's no need to infer a cause to an event which never happened. If there was never a time when something did not exist, then I'm not sure I even understand what it even means to say that something caused it to exist.
So most people, Christians or not, believe that the universe originated through the Big Bang. Now, the question is, what caused the Big Bang?
Well, I think it's a category error to think of the Big Bang as an event. It makes more sense to think of it as a temporal limit. It's just the earliest point in time. It's analogous to the edge of a yardstick. The universe didn't come into existence at the Big Bang any more than a yardstick comes into existence at the first inch.
If you're an atheist, I think this is a really tough question to answer, because if there's no God, there'd be no universe. It doesn't make sense. The law of causality states that everything that begins has a cause, and if the universe has no cause, then it shouldn't exist, you know? You know what I'm saying?
First of all, there's no such thing as a law of causality. There's no law of causality either. As David Hume pointed out, we can't be sure causality is even a real thing, let alone something as solid as a law. Secondly, the only sense in which we can even inductively infer that everything which begins to exist has a cause is that when things that exist, which at some point did not exist, begin to exist, a change occurs. There's a time at which the thing did not exist, which changes to a time at which the thing does exist. Such changes seem pretty consistently to have causes. However, when it comes to things that have never not existed, things for which there was never a point in time at which they did not exist, there never was any such change. If there was never a change from a point in time when a thing did not exist to a point in time when a thing exists, then there's no change to explain. There's no need for a cause because no causation event ever took place.
Second question is, where do you find your identity? Now, this can seem confusing at first, but I think it's really important, because where your identity comes from tells you who you are. So, for example, let's think about it this way. So, if you're a Christian, you obviously find your identity in Christ. If you're a Muslim, you find your identity in the Quran and Islam. But if you're an atheist, where does that identity come from? What makes you, you know?
I agree with the existentialist view that existence precedes essence. Another way they put it is thatness precedes whatness. In other words, the fact that a thing exists is prior to what that thing is. By this, existentialists mean that while people don't make everything, it is only people who make up and assign identities for things. And we do so for our own purposes. We used to call Pluto a planet. Then we decided it was more convenient to redefine what a planet is in such a way as to exclude Pluto from that definition. We can do that with literally any concept. It's all up to us. So my answer to your question about finding my identity is that I don't find it. I make it up.
Third question, how should we live? So I think that if you're a Christian, it's obviously to glorify Jesus. If you're a Muslim, to follow Islam, Hindu, you know, all these religions have answers to this question. But if you're an atheist, is there an answer?
Religions mostly, if not always, have an ethos. I could understand how if you encountered a religion without an ethos, you might think that such a religion is deficient in a sense, that it's missing something that it should properly have. However, since atheism is not a religion, the fact that it lacks an ethos is not a deficiency. This question seems to imply that the fact that atheism has no ethos means there's something wrong with it, and I think that's just a category error.
Does life have purpose? Because it really doesn't. I mean, you may say your goal is to help people, to raise a family, but what good is that if everyone ends up dead?
You seem to think that if something isn't permanently good, it isn't good at all. This makes no sense to me. If you help someone, that could have consequences that improve their lives for decades. Your argument is like saying, it doesn't really matter to me whether I have a pleasant life or a miserable one, because I'm just going to end up dead either way.
There's really no point of your life.
There's no externally imposed point.
At least I would say so. Question number 4. Where does your morality come from?
My conscience.
If you have a religious worldview, there is obviously a definite morality where morality comes from. But if you don't believe in God, there's no standard of morality. There's no way to address a moral conflict with someone else because it's merely someone's opinion versus another one's opinion.
Well, yeah, that's the way it is. Folks have different consciences. If two people differ on some fundamental value, then you're not going to be able to get them to accept a common standard, and I don't think argument can resolve that. That sucks, but it's not a problem exclusive to atheism. Even when folks who practice the exact same religion differ in their values, the result is frequently some kind of schism. This would be a problem even if nobody were an atheist.
5th question. Where will you go when you die? This is a very serious question, and this is the only question that really matters in terms of after we die, because we're all going somewhere. If you're an atheist, it's really nothing, You're just void, nothing. It's just, like before you were born. So it's kind of lame.
But the religions that say you go somewhere to kiss a god's ass for all eternity, totally not lame. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.